You're listening to Pyramid One Radio.
To call and to speak to Kelly, use these numbers. Dial 605-472-5765. Then dial the access code 608060#. Then to join the session, which will be awesome. Congratulations, you are now ready. Tell everyone we expect 1,000 people listening on their phones from all over the world.
This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Good evening, and welcome to Conscious Speaks. Let me tell you a little about the host. Her name is Kellie J. Wright. You all know her. Tonight, be a part of the conversation. What it means to truly love yourself. Free of judgment, fear, ego, pride, and jealousy. She says, we learn to undo what we have accepted or taken on as part of our perception of self. We are free from negative self-talk. Start a 90-day transformation, and she will assist along your journey. Whenever two or more are in his presence is how this works. Kellie's ebook is how she walked her mind out of doubt and fear, one blog at a time for 13 weeks, into loving and acceptance of self. The first step is the hardest, and it will become a way of life. Once we know we can free our thoughts from fear, the work becomes a staple item to the goodness it provides. Life is a gift. So make sure you choose to wrap yours in a world that is created by and lived on your terms. Kellie J. Wright is a successful radio show host, self-love transformational guide, business owner and voice, and author at www.internaljourneys.com. Kellie is on a passion-filled mission to help individuals discover their own truth through her actualized process called the 90-Day Transformation. Now, may I introduce to you, the audience, to the entire world, to the universe, to the light, Kellie J. Wright.
I got my hand cue. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. This is Kellie J., the voice and author at Internal Narcissists and Internal Journeys, a spiritual transformation, spiritual, I can say that word. And I was thinking about that today, and also host of Conscious Speaks Radio. It's been I think 2 months. The 19th is when we started in January for this new radio show. And it's been about 2 months we've all been together. And I just wanted to thank everybody out there's listening. And how are you doing today, Bob?
I'm telling you, it's, really think about it now. This show is getting exciting. It really is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know if you got them too, but I mean, I even got a couple of emails and that said, "Hey, I mean, it's like let's turn on the radio in the car." I mean, it's awesome.
Oh,
I
I'm
tell
so
people
excited.
I tell people all the time, you can download the show if you missed it, put it in your iPhone or whatever, and plug it into your car while you're driving.
Yeah.
Just turn it on.
Yeah, that's a good question because you have you know this more than I do, and I count on you. I rely on you for that, and I apologize. So it's available through, they can download it through the YouTube channel that you put it on, also through
It's on
TuneIn.
Mix.
Is that where you put it as well?
It's on Mixcloud.
Okay,
And if
okay.
you go
Oh,
to the
Mixcloud,
landing,
yeah.
yeah, if you go to the landing page, and an easy way to do it, and I explain this to everybody, you go to
Do it again. Do it again.
www.pyramid1network. That's what you do. Go to that one.com. When you go there, there's a big picture. Our logo is on there with the pyramids. Click on it. Click on the whole picture, and you zing right into the landing page. So it's not something that you have to like outthink yourself or anything. It's like one click on a picture and you're there. Every single tool that you need to get this show, plus see it. You can see it on that link. You can watch the show all over again.
Well, you just said something that sparked me, and it's like that it's not that difficult. But anybody who listens to this show, or you said don't think too much.
Don't
We're
over,
all overthinkers who listen to this show,
don't
so
overthink it.
we're gonna miss that easy cue. Oh, I want the one that goes boop and I'm right over there, but I'm like looking around in the circle, trying to
Yeah.
get to the next level.
No, it be here. It really be here. It be here. Not there. It's here.
It's interesting, I'm laughing because it's just everything's going really well. I believe the radio show is doing fabulous. I had no doubt. It's my third radio show that I'm doing, so I've done it before, and you've done this before, and it's a great platform. We were able to test it out. It's a miracle that I'm able to do this from my little cabin in the woods. And every time that I try to overthink, right? We're going to overthinking. Maybe that's something I need to write down for the show. Anytime I try to overthink my journey or where it is, I remember I've got everything I asked for. We have the book. It's submitted for publishing. I waited 6 years to do that, so we had proof that it works and everything, and a whole journey and a story to tell to promote when we were able to go out and start, really showing the book and what it can do in a 90-day transformation. And the radio show, what do I need, right? That's perfect.
Let me
This
tell you something. Let me tell you
this
something
radio
real
show
quick.
reaches all the way around the world. I've been promoting this week. You'd be proud of
Let
me.
me
You
let me
probably
tell
don't
you.
know, but I've been promoting.
Let me tell you something real quick. Now this is just
Okay.
this is just completely off the track a little bit.
Okay.
But you want to talk about people net who can listen. One time we had, if you remember, the guy whose last name I believe was Birdhall or Berghall. He was the soldier who was brought back. He was a hostage and he was brought back to America. And that
I
from the okay. Well, there's a bunch of people that was over there that were following it. We did a whole show on the whole hostage, everything that was going on, all the politic parts and everything else. That we did it on one show, and we had veterans and VFW people and actual fighters tuning from all over the place. Well, I
That's
got
wonderful.
some awesome emails
I
from
bet you did.
guys that were listening on cell phones to the show that were getting bombed while they were listening to the show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people will listen from all over the place if you have something to say. I have never, ever, to my heart that I know, ever had a show that didn't have a message.
Right, a message and a platform and a way for them to be able to access it anywhere in the world. That's what I like about Pyramid One. Look, it's a Pyramid One network. Uh,
And yours is nothing but messages.
yeah, yeah. But the thing about it is this platform, it sounds amazing. It reaches anywhere. in the whole world. So if anytime we start to, I was laughing because I always look forward to see what song Bob's going to play before he goes into the promo. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're listening to Gloria Stefan. And I'm like, come and take your body, baby, do that fun guy. I was like, I am being time warped, right? I am time warping myself because I was just listening to George Michael before. And I think that's a time warp. And then you just kind of shot me back and forth
It's
there.
actually not even that. That's a copy of a copy.
Well, of course it is, right?
It's a
And
fake
because I've
band.
heard all about that. And because I do internet radio, I also know that we can't play music unless we have permission and all that beautiful stuff. I look forward to doing another show where I get to play and promote local music and musicians. I did that a lot on my first radio show, and to promote independent artists, and we could play their music all day
We can do
long.
that. We can do that. Just send me the links.
Yeah, it's always been my desire to have that second radio show that was music oriented, and to start doing that again, and and listening all over the world is really cool because people there's independent musicians all over the world. And they start listening and supporting each other. And then when they're gigging, as you know, as a musician, they find out. I've had people meet through the show, and when they're traveling, help put each other up or find places or more shows to play in a certain area.
Yep.
So that was always fun working. And I've always grew up around music, so I don't need to overthink that. And we'll go back to overthinking. I've been overthinking a lot this last 6 months, and I realized that it really I was in the wrong direction again. So I've had some big epiphanies with the project. We're really, I'm really enjoying right now social media. Man, there's so many good things about it, and then people have things to say about it that are bad. But the truth is, it's however we're interacting with ourselves is how we interact with anything, and so however we're feeling dictates how we are through social media. And it's such a huge platform that is 24 hours a day. So finding our own signature and stamp through social media is a little bit different than our own signature and stamp in our personal life as well, especially if we use it for work. And a lot of what I use social media for is for work. And so we had talked about it on the original Internal Narcissy show that just because you read my Facebook page doesn't mean you know me. It's one of those things where I really hope that with social media, that one of the things I wanted to help cure, right, per se, kind of clear that veil is call in and talk. Let's meet each other, because we can all post the things we like or we don't like, or chime into all these conversations and help promote and see what's going on locally and all over the world. But how much more fun would it be just to call in and even just say hi? Like to touch base, home base, Conscious Speaks is home base. I'm calling in and say, hey, Kelly, what's up? We'll put a shout out for if you're in Washington, if you're in Florida, right? Anywhere locally, we can do that whole connecting through each other. I had a Facebook friend who lives in Australia. I can't remember which part, but he was looking to go stay in Melbourne for a while, and he's a breath worker, and he's pretty cool. So I said to a couple people I knew, and said, I don't know, just check out his story and see what he has to say, and if you connect and find someone to connect him to, let me know. And that's how we can help each other all over the world, right? So I thought that was pretty fun. You never know what happens, but taking the step to reach out, to connect, breaks you out of the part where I've had people come on even on my Facebook page to participate, and they're like, well, I'm not sure if I'm even real. Well, this is how you find out if you're real. Pick up the phone, right? Give us a call. Say hi, if you're connecting out there. Somebody's calling in. Yay, I got a landline.
Uh-huh. Let's see.
I love it when I get those.
Let's see who's on the line. Who's on area code 206? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Diana, touchdown. How are you doing today, Diana?
I'm doing great. I was having a little bit of technology problems. I can't plug into the website, so I just called in just to get my spot.
Well, there you go. You're here.
She knows the ropes. Can you answer me this question, Bob? So what Diana said is she's having problem logging in on the internet, so she called in. So does that mean there's something going on, or is it just a one-time thing here? Or
Sounds like she's having a little trouble with the internet.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you called in. Haha. She probably thought she wasn't going to call in today, and then she was spirit led to call in. How are you doing? And how is your day? Is it sunny over in Kirkland?
It's beautiful here. Yeah, I've already been into Seattle and back and got to bake oatmeal raisin cookies for my client and got to step out. Yeah, I've been thinking about things I wanted to share. I feel like I'm kind of like Kellie in the way that I have ideas in my head, but I don't really plan anything. So I just believe that it will all be spirit led and be what it is meant to be. But what I really wanted to share on was about words, basically. The power of words. I've been hearing about this for a year and a half, and the power of our words, how they co-create our world. And it was always like, co-create our world. That sounds so cool, but, you know, how do you actually do that, you know? And suddenly, after all of this work, after practice and, you know, being inundated with this, finally between last night and today is like my epiphany. It's like, okay, I shifted. I got it.
Yay!
Yeah, it's so funny, transformation work. You work and work and work at it, and yet you kind of circle and circle, but you can't, you know you're circling because you can tell, but how to break out of that, and when an epiphany happens or an awakening happens, then you do actually feel a shift in frequency, and it's like your blog circles and rings. You expand out into that another ring, you know, in your tree, expanding out to another ring in your tree. I am feeling like every word that I have said today is directed. It's not just like talking, going blah, 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 sharing an opinion, trying to be cute or funny or profound or whatever. It's directed, and that really does hone in on your frequency and does create your world. So that's what I wanted to share today.
You're gonna make me cry. I really feel your connection to that moment, and I remember when we were having a conversation once, and I was talking about co-creating, and you go, "Oh, that's what co-creating is. It's the words that we're speaking inside of ourselves." And I said, "Yes, right. As above, so below. Whatever we're saying out is to match the inside. We're co-creating from the inside out. So fear will co-create unless we've learned to balance and flip that inner dictionary, moving from mind-based thinking to heart-based being. And it's one of those things that to co-create is to be in spirit, right? To be in love, to use our highest good and highest self to create and connect outward. So when we are creating love from the inside, we attract it back, right? That's that mirror work.
Right.
In a second transformation textbook, I swear it's always the 11th week that this happens, and that's when it happened for you. So it's proven again and again that
funny.
It's one of those things. I'll actually use the word funny. I think it is kind of funny that it's I've walked this journey. I lived and grew it out loud. People started to call and ask me to guide them, and I did, and they wanted the whole journey then, and I said okay, and I'm showing them how to do the work, and they're doing it with their own skills, with their own way to connect to self, with their own processing that they've internalized and created through their life to connect to spirit or their higher self. And they're using my gifts to help them show the mirror, but they're going to work on their own journey. So it is a how you thing, not a how to thing. But every time in these same weeks, people are having their own similar epiphany to the work. And that is, for me, that's like a golden light. That's like, it's like spirit going, yeah, all right. You see, do you get it now? Because I'm seeing everyone. It's one thing for a 90-day transformation is so amazing. It really is. And you will have the most amazing connections to self. You will deconstruct fear. You will feel amazing. You liberate yourself. You love yourself through all your judgment and doubt and fear. And then when you walk into the innate journey, for the people who are truly highly on a spiritual awakening journey, they go even further into that route. Some people will bypass that and go into the second transformation. But the second transformation, we work with our internal dictionary of self. I had no idea what that meant until I processed it and lived and grew it out loud. And now I've got clients that are graduating that, going on to their third, and they're just going through, and they're having the same thing right at the very end, going, no way, right? And when we really deconstruct love,
I'm sorry. It's like you always say, you can't make this stuff up.
You can't. And that's what makes it so authentic. Everyone's having their own personal experience to their own journey. You cannot make it up. And we have that conversation, or that sentence comes out so many times in this work, because if you're doing it and you're paying attention, you realize there's a lot of help out there. We're getting a lot of help. Bob talks about it all the time with the guides. That auto's out there. Once you could clear all this energy and these doubts and fears that are plaguing us, we have the autopilot. We have that seed in our soul. We balance our feminine. We balance our masculine, right? Don't be fearful of those two words. They're just words. That's a positive, right? A negative. I flipped it. But, it's love and fear, good and bad, God and the devil. There's all these words for the two frequencies that we run on here, negative and positive. And once we can balance those, not giving any preference to the either, then we are able to truly shine bright in the hues of our own intentions. It's a practice, but what else would we be doing? I know that take. I know Diana's going to laugh right there, because I had shared a post once. She'd been following me for a while, and we talked a couple times on the phone, and she wasn't ready to come to the journey yet, and I never push people. I don't do that. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. And so when she finally saw me write a post, and at the end of it, I'm like, and what would you be doing anyways? It kind of clicked. She's like, oh, yeah. Right, Diana?
Yeah, what else would you, for me, what else would you be doing, really? It's a lot of practice. It's clearing out. Another part of this transformation is family relationships.
Yes.
And, ex-husbands. And I didn't even think I had that much stuff on that, left over. But it gives you the opportunity to go back in and look at it and explore it and clear. Even though there were just residues of it, I was able to completely clear it out. And I think that's what made the difference for me to really be able to look at my words and get this awakening of how powerful our words are. Every word that we say.
Every word that we have stored, right? Every word that we have placed in a drawer, hidden behind time and windows and walls that aren't even visible, right? They say my father's mansion has many rooms. When you do deep spiritual work, you really start to go, oh, I get what that means, right? You might hear it the first time you read it and go, oh, okay. But when you start really doing this work, you're like, holy cow, it's so true. And that has to do with the way that we hold things. We at IN call it memories frozen in mind. So we have memories that are attuned to people or happenings that are frozen in our mind, in our sequencing, our cellular memory, our internal memory, in a song that's at anyone's choice to play. You never know when you're going to get hit with that memory recall. So when we work on week 9 in 90-day transformation. We work with a blog called Pieces, and it has to do with that, the Picasso of our life, the fireworks of our life, that are the people, the places, everything we've done matters, right? The people that we were with mattered, the people we love mattered, even when they're not happening anymore. So if we still have some shame or doubt, or even that little in there, when their name has come up or something reminds us of them, that's a little bit of negativity, that if you go in and change that with love, you totally change your whole inner dictionary. That one, there's a couple things that you might not know are floating around there that will keep you from turning that next page in your book. Sometimes it might be that simple of a page to know that you have to turn the page, but you've got to do this work, and this work leads you through it. And Diana's proven it. I've proven it. I have other clients that have graduated their second transformations, their third, going into their third. And so, again, what we do in first 90-day transformation, a self-love mastery course, is we deconstruct fear to find our true authentic self, to love ourselves for who we are, no matter what. And then in the second transformation, we deconstruct love. It sounds funny, but we do. We deconstruct love and our inner dictionary of self that is running on old software. And then we deconstruct our expectations and relationships, familial and close people. Diana mentioned her ex-husband, but I have clients who are married that do this work. So it's when we enter into any relationship, we bring expectations, whether we know it or not, and to clear those expectations so we can love someone for who they are and not need them to be something else. That's what it is. It's authentic, unattached, loving unconditionally comes through the second transformation. That's when you own it. That's when you earn that key. Anything come to mind, Bob?
I heard.
Spirit chilled.
Yeah, I heard her give a little.
Oh, a breath?
Sigh, yeah, a little sigh of like, yeah.
Well, it's funny because I think Diana mentioned it last night. She said, "Are you going to read Circles and Rings today?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. If I'm moved to, I'm always spirit-led if it comes up." And then she brought it up, and we're talking about it. So if you two don't mind, I could do a reading today for Circles and Rings. Bob, Diana, what do you think?
I would love that.
There you go.
I'd love to hear you read.
Okay, for everybody out there listening, I'll just give you a little backbeat. I lived and grew out loud a spiritual transformation journey that I literally had no idea where I was going, but I knew I had to follow hands down. And I started living and growing out loud when I downloaded the blogs that walked my mind out of darkness, which are now the book that I teach from, the 13 blogs. And I kept living and growing out loud after the transformation, but I got my first radio show, and I found that it was too much work for me to process the blogs the way I pull them through, because it's really there's a process to my water work and dream work, and drive for an hour because I was living out in the country with my aunt to do my radio show. So I figured the radio show would come first, and I stopped blogging. And then when I was spirit-led to Malibu and did my second transformation up in Latigo Canyon, I started blogging again and living and growing out loud. On my website, Internal Narcissist, there's over 200 blogs there. They're all in my journey sequence, and I would read them on the radio show and at the beginning, and we'd have spirit-led conversations. But so that's a little bit of backbeat from my journey and how all the blogging worked. And I will read to you Circles and Rings. This was written April 13th, 2016, and it goes like this. If you think you are alone in your lesson, stop for just a second, then put your hand to your chest. Touch your heart, close your eyes, and breathe in one deep breath. Upon slowly exhaling, know that we are all in a lesson. Our lives are living lessons. Some of us are aware of this, and some are not. Others are on the tip of this knowing, sitting at the cusp of an awakening, one sip from all that will hearken them forward into the light. Awakenings are happening daily. Some may be in the middle of this reading, or in a dream later tonight, and so it is. But there is one thing I do know faithfully and believe with all my heart. God can wake us up in a split second once we are surrendered in the right frequency. Completely open and ready to do thy works, not thine. Dedicated to the truth, no matter what it looks like on the outside. No one is immune from their lessons either. The lessons of love and fear, and all of their joys and heartaches, are a part of the designer seed given to us through birth. Seeds that burn us from the inside out while trying to connect in real time. How we grow forward depends on a lot, and is still all a part of the unfolding belief that we can change the way we feel about ourselves, one thought at a time. Oh no, we cannot just want for these chasms to be filled. We have to leap into them with a passion that is unbridled. We must work for them. We must process all happenings until we have processed all blocks in earnest, or we circle. We circle the cave of our heart. We circle the path of resistance. We circle the stars of trust, not being able to fully lay down our pride, but all the while curled up inside like a ball, which is a circle. We circle the memories in our minds. We circle at invisible walls of reasoning that we did not choose, but keeps us locked in a circle of untruth, disguised as a feeling of fearful protection. An invisible boundary to self that shields us from the truth that we are all one. Yes, we are all the lessons and the middle and fourth steps of an intended growing in to be resurrected in the now. Internal narcissist believes that if your lesson ends with someone, that just means it is taken somewhere else to go start again. We cannot escape our lessons. They are written down, and love never stops or leaves. It burns into another circle in our cycle of life, another layer in the ring of the tree of you to circle until the day we hand walk ourselves to a fire that is roaring so loud that we cannot help but walk straight into it, arms at our sides, eyes wide open, mouth agape, in the sincerest trust that we will finally burn free of the insanity. Oh yes, we can leave a lesson that stings when we need rest, and we should. Self-care is so important, and we may need to, for this work is hard. But we do take ourselves wherever we go, in another ring of time and space. A place to stave off the pain while we circle another lesson that rings. Rings in our mind eternal. Rings of our tree eternal. The rings in our hearts eternal. The rings in our ears eternal. The rings in the water of our destinies eternal, as the ripples of cause and effect bleed out eternal. Oh, loved ones, beautiful people, please. I implore you to find the pain in the fears of your sorrow that have not yet deemed you worthy enough to be faced. To not keep taking them from one place to the next, and give yourself a chance to grow in, not circle. That's circle. And, and rings. If anybody has anything that they'd like to add or call or share about that blog, you can give us a call. Bob, you have that number?
Oh yes, I do. I was gonna say I got to give the number. The number to call in to this show from anywhere is 605-472-5765, and the access code is 608060 pound. Easy as that. Again, I'll do it real quick. Yeah. I'll do it real quick for everybody. Did you hear that?
You made me snort.
Anyway, the number is 605. She's laughing her brains off. 605-472-5768. And the access code is 608060 pound. I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
I don't know, but my friend, he is the laughing yogi. I met him in Desert Hot Springs, and he would love this right now because he teaches yoga and you laugh, and he says laughter and breathing are what causes our spiritual connection, that we free when we breathe in, that we that's the air is feeding our cells, right?
That's right.
And I was working on cellular memory. I've been working deeply. I was thinking about our radio show that we had earlier because I'm working with the Ma right now. And if you think about it, am, right? I am. Well, am backwards is Ma, and Ma represents Mother Earth, right? So if you go back to the ancient Berber that I was researching in regards to looking up I am, and in or the what amen was, right? And then we looked at maybe it was a connection to Amen, or going back to ancient Egypt. And I was laughing because they had for the definition of I am, that I am was am in, right? So am in Ma. And if you think about the way that spirit matter create humanity, the ultimate creator, that the perfect nothingness needed to come into form and shape, and does that through a second part, a connection, and that's Ma, that's Mother. So patterns connect to Mother. And if you think about that, so am in Ma. So anybody who studies Word, that was a little bit of my studies for the last couple of weeks. And it all started when I didn't have to, but I was directed. I always think about William, right? The name William. And if you break it down, it says, will, I am, right? So everything we do in life, if we want to, we're talking about words, and we're talking about co-creating with spirit, right? So if we want to co-create our world, then we have to co-create from inside our inner dictionary of self. Well, the way that we do that is through freeing our lower nature to live from our highest self, right? So if we are going to will, right, free will, use our free will for our highest good, because it is a choice every day to use our free will for our highest good or our lowest nature, and we're doing it either way. So, like, what else would you be doing? That comment kind of encompasses this. We're already using our free will, but did you know that you could choose to use it from love, from a love-based version versus fear? Think about that. And so if we are looking at that am and the Ma, above, below, once we balance those, then we really get to start using that will, right? So free will I am. And then I thought, well, what about the name Wilma, right? And then I broke it down to will and Ma, right? I've added an extra L because Wilma spelled Wilma. Well, we have to play with things if you want to really learn and break through things. So I thought, okay, we'll put an extra L. So will, Ma. So if we're willing, am, which is creator, and then if will, Ma is short, or the feminine version of William, right? So then we will, Ma. There we have it, right? So I've been working with Ma the last 2 weeks. And there's some stuff for any of you spiritual junkies out there to go chew on.
Inside you got me laughing my brains out.
Wilma, are you thinking of the Flintstones?
Diana, I know you have. How many people have watched the Flintstones?
Wilma, and it's all Wilma, right? I want a Will mother to seat my soul.
I mean, you see, she's talking about words, and I'm, from writing music for years and years and years, you get so much stuff fed into your brain that all of a sudden something sticks, and it's like bubble gum stuck to the bottom of a table, that you can't get off. It's like there, and it makes for some reason it all makes sense too.
Well, and the Flintstones were involved in this because I was thinking of my friend. I don't know. This is just how it works when I call it letting your mind soften. If you let your mind soften and you free it from thought, because the whole master's path of enlightenment is to co-create, not to think. Because when we're co-creating, we're creating our future, like literally in real time. Yeah. Like that's the only way you create it. And so when you let go of thinking, to be mindless, to be thoughtless, if you can do that, which I do very well, then you let that go, and then you let your mind soften and you work with what comes to you. And I was thinking of my friend, because I just have a brand new baby dog. I named her a beautiful name. Well, my aunt named her, but thinking of baby names, and she named her baby Betty, and she's like some of these older names that are coming up. And I thought of Wilma, and literally this is what spirit will do for you. And they're like, oh, finally we brought you around this door to get you back up to here to look. If you're always breaking down and working with Father, if you're always breaking down I am, well, what about Ma? Let's break down the Ma. Let's work with will, Ma. Because will is what we do when we use free will. We will our future. We create our life with our words that we will through our language. It's a song. It's a harmony.
And it's funny, too, when you're talking about that. People don't realize how many things they do by their own free will without even knowing they're doing it. I mean, you're talking about the yang and yang here, or yin and yang. I mean, it's like the two of them are synchronized together, and
Yeah,
it
that's
just
part of the 90-day transformation journey, the pain series.
exactly when they're in sync with each other, we're amazing people. I'm serious.
As above, so below, right? And so it is. We really are willing our life. When you stop to take full responsibility for everything that's happened to you, and you start a transformation journey, not to shame yourself, not to beat yourself up, but to go, heck, I've gone as far as I can go, and I want more. I want my life to be better, not necessarily more stuff. I want to connect better. I want to have better relationships. I want to be able to communicate better. I want to not feel bad. I want to stop whatever my obsessive habits are. I mean, they could be anything. Whatever it is you want to change, people wonder why they can't change the things that they want to do. We talk about this a lot in the third transformation. How come I can't do what I want to do? And that's because we're really still trying to match above and below. But we've just figured out how to do that in the second transformation. Now we know how to use our words. We know how to co-create from our heart, internal dictionary, moving from mind-based thinking to heart-based being. So when we move into the third transformation, it's always provided by the 12th week. Look forward to that, Diana. What the lesson is going to be. It provides itself because everyone's lesson is their own. But we work on that in the third transformation. And what happens is we learn how to seal and seat our self-worth, which allows us to actually do what we want to do. The reason we can't do what we want to do is because we haven't claimed our self-worth yet. We may think we have, but I guarantee you haven't. I didn't, and I'm watching it work with clients every day, and other people do this work, and they're having the same results. It's, as we always say, not new. It's just being delivered in a different way. And again, a lot of people are having what they consider, and I consider, a great life. My life wasn't awful. It definitely wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it's never been closer to being exactly what I want it to be. And I'm leaving windows open for that. When we try to control, we don't leave room for the greatness that really is right out there waiting to connect. Whatever we are at our core value, we attract. And so if you want to attract more or differently, or if you have a dream that you can't seem to reach, that you keep circling, the rings in your matter, take a chance to know what they are, get to know them. Right? Sitting at the cusp of an awakening, one sip from all that will hearken them forward into the light. I wrote this April 13, 2016. Everything that I processed was me working through my journey. This is part of my work. This is what I went through. This is all my processing.
What do you think? Diana, she's out there somewhere. Hello.
She's still working on that mall one. She's like,
she's I mean, seriously, she's sleeping over there. I could hear her. You know, snoring.
She's chewing on the new information giver on mall.
I can tell, Diana. You're definitely, that was going around your head a few times.
Yeah, like 100 times. Oh my gosh, to burn free, to be able to shift into a higher frequency. And then you're talking about the third transformation, which I haven't gotten to yet. You know, matching above with below, claiming your self-worth. And I'm just like going, oh my gosh, I still have so much work to do. It's like, but it's pretty work, amazing, right? Because all you can do, it is hard work. But like I always say, like you always say, I don't know what else I would be doing. So, yeah, the circles, the, burning free, the going into higher frequencies that just take you to a different ring, a different circle. That was beautiful what you read. I loved hearing you read that again. And what Bob said about, bubble gum, like it sticks. You have to hear things over and over and over until it finally like sticks in a certain way where you can relate to it and get it,
Right. What I'm hearing is you have to be able to pick it up and put it down a couple times. It's something you can't just pick up and go, mine, I
Yep.
want it.
Yep.
You have to be able to pick it up, put it down, come back. We talk about it with books. I study ancient history and religion and science, and so I have books around the house that I will put down and I'll come back when I know I'm ready. Um, at the beginning of this journey, and again, I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life. My aunt's a healer. I started with some good help to guide me, but even then, I had no clue what was going to happen the way it did, even though I knew it was going to happen. And, you know, I remember on the radio show, my co-host Jackie, I had a book and I said, I bought it and I started to read it and I couldn't do it. I just put it down. She goes, oh, it's not time yet. And I was like, what? And it makes sense when we're not ready. And I talked about this with a client today. You know, everyone goes, I wish I would have started this work earlier, or I wasted so much time. I don't think that's true. I don't believe anything we do is a waste of time. I think that once we start really honoring that each step is intended in the only place we could truly be because we are there, then we open up to the beauty of the journey instead of judgment. And whether that book is to be picked up, whether we go off on a tangent for a while and come back, we can't get here
Right.
without going there. It's just this way it goes. No one's journey is the same. Everyone's is so beautiful for their own right and purpose. And I believe that the only relationship we're ever truly in is with spirit. And so it's always been a tagline for me that I was going to follow 100%, no matter what it looked like on the outside or felt like on the inside. I knew my truth and I knew what I had to do to get to it. And when the world that we live in, society would have us think things have to look a certain way. And those ways keep us trapped a lot underneath debt, underneath pain, sorrow, regret, want, greed, envy, desire, judgment. And that's a false reality. When they say fear is a liar, that's what people mean, because those visions that we've accepted as agreements that we have to be happy aren't true. They're place markers to keep us from our truest and our lightest light. And it doesn't mean you can't have nice things. We don't need them. We shouldn't have to want them. It's something I've said to my clients quite a lot. It's almost like we have to prove that we don't want it before we can have it. It's just weird sometimes, the work we do. But what are you willing to do to try and bridge out of your circumference to have the peace and joy that is in every textbook out there that says it's available? If it is, why not try and find it? That's what I did. So you did too, right, Bob?
Oh my God, my whole life.
And Diana too. She's been a student of the studies for a long time, and it's not. You don't just wake up one day and go, "I think I want to do this work."
Though it's really really funny though, because where our backgrounds are, where did we come from? What was where in this realm, in this universe, did our souls come from? What are
Right.
we? I mean, I've been called an alien so many times it's ridiculous. And now I have an alien dog, by the way.
Now you have an alien dog.
Oh, him and I are like, we're giant. He's only been here for what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe?
It reminds me of Men in Black.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah. Well, what does the dog look like?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it reminds me of
Looks
that
like
movie Men in Black.
it looks right, exactly. It looks like the same thing. But the whole thing was, look, my family itself. I mean, my mother was a person who saw spirits. She saw ghosts. Talked to them too. My grandmother, I mean, she would read the tea leaves on the bottom of your tea thing, or coffee grains. She would
Yeah.
do, and bones. God forbid you ever like carved up a bird and dropped the
Oh
bone.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I've
forget
heard
about
of
it.
that.
I mean, and she also, spoke to spirits. So of course, when I was born, my grandmother was the one that turned around and said, "He's been touched." Now, I thought my whole life I was nuts, which I still sometimes will rely on. But I mean, you have to be nuts to go through this world. But in a sense, what it actually means was you were touched by a higher power at a very early age, and you don't know it.
Ah,
You don't understand it until you have the tools or tool to open the door.
It's all about
Your
tools.
program is the key.
Yeah.
Your program and many other programs, I
open the
mean,
door.
that I personally went through, and that because I went through a whole life of nothing but spiritual work in one way
Yeah.
or another. So
That's for most of
what
my clients. Most of my clients have been on the path and
didn't know it.
or or did know it. It's a handful both, and um, you just end up where you're meant to be. That's why when I'm always sharing on my Facebook pages, so find someone to connect to, and then work with them because in the end, if the purest gift you get is a heart that's free from fear, that's worth the journey. And you're not going to go anywhere that you're not meant to be, and you won't take yourself anywhere that you're not meant to be, and no one can make you go anywhere. And why would they want to? This is a journey of freedom, a personal freedom, and it's not shaming. I'm a realist, and I look at things from so many different viewpoints that everything down here could be working exactly the same, but you flip it from fear energy to love, and all the pain and the cruelty would go away. We can have a world that exists with, beautiful businesses and people making money and people who like fashion and people who don't and people who do this and people who do that. Different ideas, different views, different bodies, different genres, all living and learning together. But from a love-based modality, it doesn't mean the whole world falls apart. I think it falls together. And and it starts within your own
yeah.
family. We're huge proponents of home and hearth, home and hearth, home and hearth, right? Where are you every day? What matters more than anything? It's your home and hearth. You want to feel safe in it. Well, the first home and hearth is your body. I like to call it our breathing apparatus while we're here on planet Earth. And and if once we could do that, once we could really balance that above and below, we've seated our soul, we've seated our heart. We're shining bright in love, and now we get to make the outside shore up the details, right? We get to start creating from this beautiful base of love. I mean that every day Susie Sunshine. It just means you know how to not go into fear and beat yourself up, and you know how to recover and keep learning. The whole spiritual walk, whether it's a religious walk, the name of a church, or a spiritual walk, one with nature, is called spiritual perfection. We're really just perfecting the fear and the pain into a lesson versus judgment, where we learn, we don't shame each other. No judgment, no stigma, no fear. People can be who they've come to be in the body that they've come to be. Everyone's deserving of having a life worth living and sharing with others. But first we have to know what it is and then free ourselves from all the familial pain and fear and ego that's been passed forward, and we just heal it. That's all we're doing. It's healing, a mass healing. Souls connecting live, right? When we hum together. It's beautiful work. It's interesting to me how many people want to probably do this work but are scared to reach out and do it. But that's the trick right there. In my second transformation, and Diana could probably attest to this, I was very elated to find out that I didn't have to believe what I was thinking, but I have to tell you, it was pretty a new theory for me. I was just like, what? I realized I didn't have to believe what I was thinking, that what I was thinking, I didn't have to believe, and it was huge. And my mind was blown away, and I was like, huh, I don't have to believe what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is not even right. It's not even real. And what transformation work does is give you real skills so you can figure these things out and test the theories on your own. That's what you're doing right now, Diana.
That was a huge one to look at my mind, because I'm an Aquarian and I think a lot and I always want to know. To realize that my thoughts, I can question them, and just because I think something, that doesn't mean it's true. Just because I feel something, that doesn't mean it's true.
That I thought I could question them, and just because I think something, that doesn't mean it's true. I feel.
Did we lose her?
No. There's another caller, and he has his cell computer on.
Oh, okay. I saw you nodding your head about that we could question our thoughts, Bob. Did you want to add something to that?
No, I was saying she was completely right.
Yeah, it's true. That's the beauty of it. When we start to question everything, right? If we don't, then we're still running off everything that has been kind of just given to us, that we've assimilated without thinking much about it. We've gone with the flow. We've become a part of the collective consciousness that is happy to keep running on old paradigms and outdated material or false material. Literally every book that you've ever read, and I'm serious, every book, no matter how old you've ever read, is an opinion. It's an opinion. So how wonderful is it to realize that and then go, not that I'm choosing not to believe it, but maybe I'm going to go look and find out what it really is, or if there's anything else to it. That's actually interesting. Life becomes more fun. When we start questioning things, we get excited. We become researchers. We become archaeologists. We become language experts. We become divining rods for truth because we want to know, and then we get excited to learn. Nothing's more liberating than learning something that you believe, and you'll know if you believe it or not. Either you connect or not. I've been doing my seeking work since I was a teenager. So when I'm watching shows, some of them are pretty out there, so I'll turn it off if I don't connect. But if I'm watching a show, and I watch a lot of history on religion and different cosmology and different parts of history, so I can learn. And then when something clicks, it clicks because I've done enough research that my mind is keeping track of what it's read, and it goes, oh, that's real, that's not. And so you don't have to believe something, and you don't have to accept something that you don't believe, and you won't. But what's fun is trying to get to use your mind, the good part of your mind, right? To liberate it from fear and have it be fun, a quest for knowledge. It's not for everybody, but being a love-based person is. Being a love-based person is being in a relationship and not being mean to the people you love or hurting them unintentionally because you don't know how to love yourself. It all comes down to self-love. Once we learn how to love ourselves truly for who we are, we don't have the power to not love someone for who they are. We literally have become soul-free. It takes a little bit of work. Mm-hmm. It's well worth the journey. Diana has been dragging her feet, as she says, through the whole second transformation, and so did my most recent client. And it wasn't until the 11th week where the aha light comes on, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you kept me going and didn't give up on me and kept redirecting me back to my work, because they finally were able to find their part in it. You have to find your own part in it. It's so super fun, though.
I know. I was so jealous. I think I was in like week 9, and you were talking about a client who was in week 11 of this transformation and how they had this breakthrough. And I'm just like going, what? Huh? How am I going to get there? I'm not getting it. And then
she totally was like, I'm never going to get there. And I just thought, you will. We all have.
That's amazing how that works.
And it's not rocket science, but it takes dedication and it takes practice.
It does.
And the rewards are boundless and fruitless. To be so free from anxiety, fear, or pain that you love yourself so much and become your first caretaker. You protect yourself. You create boundaries. You regulate your self-worth. No one can shame or harm you because you've taken that power back to you being the only one that could, and then you would never do it because you just love yourself for being a human trying.
Yeah.
There's something to that. You can co-create your world. It's what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to live and grow out loud. I have 6 transformations under my belt, and I had a directive years ago that I would be doing 12. I don't know when they will all happen or how it works out. I just follow my heart, and I believe hearts are souls. I do have a huge financial makeover going on right now because part of my below is finances. Money is just energy, right? And I found out that it's time for me to really start respecting it in a way that was more so than I was, so I could actually create the life and live the life that I know that I already have. And so I'll be living and growing that out loud, not in a transformation, but I'll be sharing some stuff here. I would love to go into something that I found out because I know Bob's going to get a kick out of it. I don't know if I have enough time, but I'm reading Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and he goes into the part about credit and auto loans. And how when when auto loans were first when they first came out, people couldn't buy a car on loan. The first 10 years or something that cars were made, you had to buy them cash. And it talks about how the whole system is set up and rigged for us to be in these circles of debt that seemed totally normal. But it was interesting because I'm reading it and he's talking about, Ford Motor and General Motors was the first company to start doing car financing. And Mr. Ford from Ford Motors was so against debt that he refused to, and it took him a while before he finally allowed Ford to do auto financing.
There's one thing that you have to know about the Ford Motor Company. They have Ford Motor Company credit.
Yeah, and they started it. They make more money off the loan
credit, and they still have it.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there reading it. Here's my mind, and I'm like, oh, so technically we can blame Ford and General Motors for part of climate change. Is there a way we can sue them to get a rebate? Because they're allowing people to buy cars that they can't afford, so we are overpopulated with cars out on the market, which causes like the air pollution and all these different things. And I'm just like, so technically they're the ones who started it, right?
But think of the other way around. All right, the old ones that are on the road are the ones that are putting out more garbage in exhaust than the new cars.
Yeah. Well, I just think what's happening is people are driving cars they can't afford either, which causes stress on their relationships and their lives. And people are living in. I'm reading this book and it makes sense. I'll share more and more because I love sharing. I'm reading this book and I'm like, I'm like, I could change the word in there, money, to love, and it's a self-love makeover. None of this stuff is new, people. Once we learn how to love ourselves, we can really free ourselves from any drama, damage, emotional baggage, fear, pride, ego, and really learn to be really happy with what we have instead of thinking we need things outside of us to make us happy. And then when we have that power, we can buy the things that we want, and in a way that is good for us and our family and society. People are out there trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they're cutting their joy short because it's a full-time job to try and keep up with the Joneses with people who don't even care anyways, right?
You forgot the part about all right, you buy the car.
I'm talking to I knew you were gonna like this.
No. Well, you know what my other company is. It's a credit repair company.
Yeah, I do. That's why you're gonna like it.
Yeah, so we repair people's credit. But if you buy the car, okay, so you got the car. So you got something that you can sit your butt in, you can go anywhere you want to, anytime you want to, as long as you can afford the gas bill. Okay. And the new cars are ridiculous. I mean, I got a new van, and it gets like 28 miles to the gallon.
Yeah,
with a V6 motor. I mean, I can go 0 to hyperspeed in like that. It's that fast. But I mean, that's me. But anyway, the thing that nobody remembers or nobody thinks about is you buy the car, but Uncle Sam says you have to have insurance.
Uh-huh.
So you can spend up to $7,000 a year, $6,000 a year on insurance to insure the car that you bought that you had said, okay, it's drowning, it's taking money out of your paycheck. Okay. So that's like okay, so that's like maybe $5,000 a year that comes out of your thing. You're paying $7,000 now for the insurance to have the car. Otherwise, they take your license away, one of the two.
Yeah.
And when you have that insurance, even if you don't have an accident for the whole year, so what? You just paid somebody $7,000 to not have an accident, to not do anything with the money. I sent my I swear to God, I mean, I pay like so low it isn't funny, but the higher you get, I never had a parking ticket since I'm 16 driving.
I have a good record too, and mine's high, and I don't go anywhere. That's pretty
good. But out of all those years, of all those times that I paid all that insurance, do you know what I could afford? I sat down, I really, really sat down and put it down on paper one day.
That's what I'm doing, so I get it.
Yeah. It's millions of dollars.
That
you spend on things that you don't need.
Right,
Actually,
and it's all fear-based.
I wouldn't say that. Well,
not that you don't need, but it is fear-based. I mean, you don't need a new car every year.
Not
or every
couple
year.
Years. Not every year.
Yeah.
But then again, like for instance, like me, for instance, I buy cars. I don't lease cars. If you lease a car, you're throwing money out to the lease company and the insurance company.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey said that's the worst.
Yeah,
he calls it a fleece car. A fleece car.
I buy the car. In 3 or 4 years, I take the car and I turn the car over. I still get my value for it because it doesn't have like super duper mileage or any of that kind of stuff. And my cars never get dented anyway. So, and they're always clean. But the idea of the thing is I can trade that thing in and get another one.
Right.
So now I've got these cars that are guaranteed for 100,000 miles from bumper to bumper. So if something happens, I don't pay for it. I bring it back to them and say, "Hey, look, it broke." And that's
that's the thing though.
It's the way you use. It's the way you use.
It's the way. It is the way you use it. And if anyone out there's listening, if you want a life where you can feel happy and secure and not stress. It's not just about moving from mind-based thinking to heart-based being. I mean, and freeing yourself from fear and doubt and false pride and ego. You do those things so you could create the life you want. And when you get to that point, you might be surprised again at all the things that, you're going to look at possibly changing to be able to have that life you want, right? To provide for yourself and your loved ones, to be able to be that rock when lightning strikes. Okay, now not only are we the rock when lightning strikes and we're able to stay calm in the middle of tragedy or emotional upbursts, but now we can lend a hand, right, to nieces, nephews, parents, whomever, right, to be able to tend your home and hearth and to be able to be secure and not a burden to people you love, I think is a really cool way to try and live your life. And to live one where you're not constantly worried about, that you have to work until the day you die. And that has to do with money management and living within your means. And when you do that, then you can create a life where if you want more, you can create more. But to lease it, right, to loan it, it's a little bit like wrapping yourself in something that is just going to get you by, right? And in the beginning, something that makes you feel good, right? In the beginning of the show, when I was listening to the intro, like I always do, it says we can learn to undo what we've taken on or taken in, right? What are we wrapping ourselves in? What are we wrapping our worlds in? So we look at our inner contracts with ourselves, our inner dictionaries, how we speak, how we learn to communicate. We learn that if we're in a relationship, I bet you we could be better. We learn if we're not, how to be better and make better choices with the next relationship we go into. We not only do that with our emotional relationships with people and others, when we start to do that with our finances, we really change our world. Watch me. I want to be growing it out loud. This next year is going to be pretty interesting. So everybody out there, we went a little over with the show. It was really super fun. Diana, did you want to say anything to anybody? Closing?
I guess I would just only say keep open and keep questioning and learning and research and just keep moving into love-based self-love.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll meet everybody here every Monday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had a fun show today. Bob, thank you. I'm going to thank John Allen because he always, down there in Australia, gets the show out for us super quick. Everybody listening, if you're out there, I love you. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And call in sometime, ask a question, or bring a topic up. Have a good week, everybody.
Oh, there you go. Now, you know, this may be the end of the show, but it's the beginning of the show. It's just starting. We're just getting it going. It is coming off the ground. Unbelievable. And I want you people to start calling. That number is 605-472-5765. And that access code is 608060 #. All you got to do is call into the show. Be a part of the show. Be a part of the whole. Be a part of the universe around you. Use your energy to touch us. Now, how do you do that? You dial the number. Kellie's waiting for you to call. She's going to be here next Monday. Are you going to be here? Sure you will. Bob Charles says, God bless y'all. Bob Charles.